So today we're gonna start with part 3 of the A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle book summary by the SDWT.co site. Maybe there is a link in the description. I don't think so, but if you Google it, you're gonna find it. So just Google Eckhart Tolle A New Earth summary and it's gonna pop up right away. So yeah. I think, by the way, in part, what the fuck is so loud today? Why? Why does this have to be the case? Anyway, A New Earth, the history of humanity. If the history of humanity were the clinical case history of a single human being, the diagnosis would have to be chronic paranoid delusions, a pathological propensity to commit murder and acts of extreme violence and cruelty against his perceived quote-unquote enemies, his own unconsciousness projected outward, criminally insane with a few brief lucid intervals. For thousands of years, humanity has been increasingly mind-possessed, failing to recognize the possessing entity as not self. Through complete identification with the mind, a false sense of self, the ego, came into existence. The possibility of such a transformation has been the central message of the great wisdom teachings of humankind. The messengers, Buddha, Jesus, and others, not all of them known, were humanity's early flowers. They were precursors, rare and precious beings, a widespread flowering wasn't yet possible at that time, and their message became largely misunderstood and often greatly distorted. It certainly did not transform human behavior, except in a small minority of people. Throughout history, though, there have always been rare individuals who experienced a shift in consciousness and so realized within themselves that toward which all religious point. To describe that non-conceptual truth, they then used the conceptual framework of their own religions. Religions, to a large extent, became divisive rather than unifying forces. Instead of bringing about an ending of violence and hatred through a realization of the fundamental oneness of all life, they brought more violence and hatred, more divisions between peoples as well as between different religions, and even within the same religion. They became ideologies, belief systems people could identify with, and so used them to enhance their false sense of self. Through them, they could make themselves quote-unquote right and others quote-unquote wrong, and thus define their identity through their enemies, the others, the non-believers or wrong believers, who not infrequently they saw themselves justified in killing. In spite of all the insane deeds perpetrated in the name of religion, the truth to which they point still shines at their core. It still shines, however dimly, through layers upon layers of distortion and misinterpretation. No doubt, the human mind is highly intelligent, yet its very intelligence is tainted by madness. Science and technology have magnified the destructive impact that the dysfunction of the human mind has upon the planet, other life forms, and upon humans themselves. That is why the history of the 20th century is where that dysfunction, that collective insanity, can't be most clearly recognized. A further factor is that this dysfunction is actually intensifying and accelerating. By the year 1914, however, the highly intelligent human mind had invented not only the international combustion engine, but also bombs, machine guns, submarines, flamethrowers, and poison gas, intelligence in the service of madness. The hippie movement represented a loosening of the hitherto rigid egoic structures in the psyche of humanity. The movement itself denigrated and came to an end, but it left behind an opening, and not just in those who were part of the movement. This made it possible for ancient Eastern wisdom and spirituality to move west and play an essential part in the awakening of global consciousness. Yes, indeed, I would say so as well. At these times that we're finding ourselves in, it becomes more and more clear that Eastern influences, Eastern things just really influence the West. As we see in I don't know, maybe cultural changes in how to act, what to wear, food that we eat. I mean, I just totally appreciate that, and I totally love that, to just, see different cultures, different traditions as well. I don't know, it's just really interesting. It really is. I would appreciate, especially I think, traditions to be more open and, open for public. I do understand why those cultures or those people are trying to, keep those traditions quite close to them, in terms of, okay, we're going to have it in a private room. We're not going to do it on the streets or whatever it might be, but which is really be interesting for me, especially when it is about Eastern cultures, whether it is very, very East, Japan, China, whatever, or Turkey, and so on and so forth. Interesting, just interesting. As tribal cultures developed into the ancient civilizations, certain functions began to be allotted to certain people. Ruler, priest or priestess, warrior, farmer, merchant, craftsman, laborer, and so on. A class system developed. Your function, which in most cases you were born into, determined your identity. Determined who you were in the eyes of others as well as in your own eyes. Your function became a role, but it wasn't recognized as a role. It was who you were or thought you were. Only rare beings at the time, such as the Buddha or Jesus, saw the ultimate irrelevance of caste or social class, recognized it as identification with form, and saw that such identification with the conditioned and the temporal obscured the light of the unconditioned and eternal that shines in each human being. In our contemporary world, the social structures are less rigid, less clearly defined than they used to be. Although most people are of course still conditioned by their environment, they are no longer automatically assigned a function and with it an identity. In fact, in the modern world, more and more people are confused as to where they fit in, what their purpose is, and even who they are. And I'm raising my hand just to let you know, it really is difficult for me to figure out and understand what I'm supposed to be doing, some sort of my purpose. I do understand a thing that I've naturally been gifted with, which is athleticism. I've always enjoyed sports. I've always basically loved it. It's been my life. I've played soccer. That's quite it. But I've also always enjoyed physical education. It's been amazing, and I do think that this might be one of the things that I was born for, to move myself and to be active. And I mean, I've been working out regularly for I think 5 years, maybe even 6. My body and how it is structured and how it is built doesn't really show that amount of time, which basically is also due to the fact that I've not always been too serious about it. I've always enjoyed, working out and moving my body, but I've not always thought about optimizing it, especially when it comes to diet, which is a big part of it. But I've been working out for quite some time, and I still do it 6 times a week, and I enjoy it most often. Sometimes it's a drag, sometimes it's something that I need to be doing, at first at least, but afterwards I most often feel really, really good about myself. Anyway, humanity's current challenge today. Am I gonna go? Yeah, it's probably gonna be the last thing. To end the misery that has afflicted the human condition for thousands of years, you have to start with yourself and take responsibility for your inner state at any given moment. That means now, responding to a radical crisis that threatens our very survival. This is humanity's challenge now. The dysfunction of the egoic human mind, recognized already more than 2,500 years ago by the Asian wisdom teachers and now magnified through science and technology, is for the first time threatening the survival of the planet. The collective disease of humanity is that people are so engrossed in what happens, so hypnotized by the world of fluctuating forms, so absorbed in the content of their lives, and they have forgotten the essence, that which is beyond content, beyond form, beyond thought. They are so consumed by time that they have forgotten eternity, which is their origin, their home, their destiny. Eternity is the living reality of who you are. We only need to watch the daily news on television to realize that the madness has not abated. Let me drink something pretty quickly. I'm probably not going to cut it out. Because there's still sounds. And whenever there's still sounds, I'm probably not going to cut it out. That's a rhyme. Thank you. Bye-bye. No, just joking. So we only need to watch daily news on television to realize that the madness is not abated, that it is continuing into the 21st century. Another aspect of the collective dysfunction of the human mind is the unprecedented violence that humans are inflicting on other life forms and the planet itself. The destruction of oxygen-producing forests and other plant and animal life, ill treatment of animals in factory farms, and poisoning of rivers, oceans, and air. Driven by greed, ignorant of their connectedness to the whole, humans persist in behavior that, if continued unchecked, can only result in their own destruction, which is probably going to happen. A significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die. A still relatively small but rapidly growing percentage of humanity is already experiencing within themselves the breakup of the old egoic mind patterns and the emergence of a new dimension of consciousness. When faced with a radical crisis, when the old way of being in the world, of interacting with each other and with the realm of nature, doesn't work anymore, when survival is threatened by seemingly insurmountable problems, an individual life form or a species will either die or become extinct or rise above the limitations of its condition through an evolutionary leap. When you live in a world deadened by mental abstraction, you don't sense the aliveness of the universe anymore. Most people don't inhabit a living reality, but a conceptualized one. We are a species that has lost its way. Everything natural, every flower or tree, and every animal have important lessons to teach us if we would only stop, look, and listen. There is only one perpetrator of evil on the planet, human unconsciousness. That realization is true forgiveness. With forgiveness, your victim identity dissolves and your true power emerges. The power of presence. Instead of blaming the darkness, you bring in the light. Compassion arises when you recognize that all are suffering from the same sickness of the mind, some more actually than others. Spiritual practices that evolve the physical body, such as Tai Chi, Qigong, and Yoga, are also increasingly being embraced in the Western world. Yeah, guess what? Why? These practices do not create a separation between body and mind and are helpful in awakening the pain body. They will play an important role in the global awakening. What is arising now is not a new belief system, a new religion, spiritual ideology, or mythology. We are coming to the end not only of mythologies, but also of ideologies and belief systems. The change goes deeper than the content of your minds, deeper than your thoughts. In fact, at the heart of the new consciousness is the transcendence of thought, the newfound ability of rising above thought, of realizing a dimension within yourself that is infinitely more vast than thought. You then no longer derive your identity, your sense of who you are, from the incessant stream of thinking that in the old consciousness you take to be yourself. What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am. Who am I then? The one who sees that. The awareness that is prior to thought, the space in which the thought or the emotion or sense perception happens. So I do want to repeat that. I think it is interesting to think through. Who am I then? What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am. Who I am then? The one who sees that. Which is actually pretty interesting if you think about it. Like, we all have a voice in our heads, or in our head. I don't have 3 heads. Would be cool though, to some degree, in certain situations. Anyway, when I'm thinking about something, this is not me, because I'm seeing it. I'm noticing it. At least I can if I want to. Which makes things quite clear, I would say. And it's pretty interesting that it's striking me right now, and that it's not been doing that before. But when I'm thinking something, probably, or maybe, not probably, but maybe something bad, something that I should not be thinking, something that I maybe shouldn't be saying to myself, this is not me. This is not who I am. I am this being, this thing that is observing everything. So in the end as well, I'm just thinking everything through. Well, everything is a bit overdone, but some things. When I'm seeing something, I am not the one who sees, but I am rather the one who observes what is being seen. If this makes any sense. Something that I think is the case is, for example, when I'm thinking something, I can judge that. And this is who I am. I'm the person who judges my thinking, because I'm observing it, I'm seeing it, I can see it at least. So when I'm also seeing something like physically, this is not necessarily what I'm seeing, but I'm rather as well judging it. My ears maybe are hearing, or my hearing organ is hearing. But I, the thing that I am, I'm only judging it. I'm only judging what I'm hearing. And I think, I'm actually quite sure this is the whole point. Whatever you're seeing, whatever you're hearing, for example, somebody else saying something mean to you, you're just hearing it. And then you can judge it. And then you can think about it. And then you can decide whether you should get angry or not. So the thing is, are you the one who gets angry then? I wouldn't say so as well. Because you're judging it. You're probably making the person or the thing that is angry. So in the end, you can choose because you're the judger of everything that is there, whatever it might be. So it's quite interesting. Like, I'm trying to go through certain things that I've been challenged with in the past few days. For example, I don't know, let's pick me having to work tomorrow. So I know that I have to work tomorrow. Since it's my first day, I'm a bit anxious and nervous because I don't really know what I'm gonna have to deal with. And so I can observe that and judge that anxious being, this anxious self. And I think, there are certain reasons, or there must be certain reasons why I'm anxious. And already what I'm seeing there is when you judge and think about the feelings that you're having, judging is such a destructive and, powerful word, but when you observe it, you can deal with it. And you can deal with it quite nicely. And also in a way that's non-destructive. You're not killing yourself, you're not destroying yourself. It is like, okay, I'm feeling that my body, the thing that I am in, this thing is anxious, or my feelings are anxious, whatever it might be. It's not me in the end, because I'm observing it, I'm judging it. So what might this be due to? What can I do about it? Probably think through, of course, it is your first day, this is something new, and always when there is something new, you don't know what to expect. It is like maybe some mechanism in the human body, to just be, keep attention to small details, be a little bit more aware, because it's the first time, what might happen, what could happen. But in the end, I know as well that after tomorrow, however long I'm gonna have to work, I don't know yet. And also today I have to sign a contract, and I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to see, and I'm hoping that I'm gonna find the right place. But the only thing that I can say, judging my feelings and then talking back to them and being like, you're gonna do your best. You're gonna do what you can. you're not going to be stupid because my head is not stupid. Like, there's no reason why I would make a stupid decision. Based on the things that I know, I'm going to do what I know. And I can't do more. I can do less, but I'm not gonna. Which means, okay, if I have to be at this place, then it should be there, as far as I know. Of course, when you're anxious, you could do something about it. We have response ability. We can talk to people. What am I going to expect? What is going to happen? Also realizing that other people are having the same problem, and so on. So I think it is just pretty interesting that I'm just a judge of everything that is going on in my world. So if I'm saying like it is good that I'm smoking, it is good that I'm smoking because I'm judging it. Of course, there's also a physical kind of layer which may not be as easy to judge and to distort quite. So for example, when you're feeling pain, you yourself, you're not feeling pain, but you observe the pain. Of course, it is painful. Of course, it's going to hurt and whatnot. Can you kind of dim the pain by thinking about it or talking to yourself? Well, I don't know. Maybe. Still going to be physical harm though. Pain, there's a reason why we have pain. Anyway, gonna see you next time. Bye-bye.